So we're back with the previews, and tomorrow we take on Fluminense and, of course, Thiago Silva. And before we get into the preview, I did want to say that I have a huge amount of respect for Thiago Silva. Everything he did at Chelsea, in my mind, he's not only a legend, he is the only Chelsea player to come close to topping John Terry for the best defender in Chelsea history. So with all that being said, I'm really happy that he and Fluminense have been getting a lot of respect for how they performed this tournament, because they have been really good. But I hope we put 5 past them. What's up, guys, and welcome to the Blues and Stripes. So today we're going to be talking about the semi-final matchup against Fluminense, and it's going to be a difficult one to predict as far as the lineup is concerned, because Maresca showed in the last match he's not here to put out his best 11 to try new things. He's here to do the same old thing, be stubborn Maresca, and maybe we'll squeak past Fluminense because of some individual talent. Fingers crossed. But also, we don't really know what the injury situation is as far as James and Lavia are concerned. I didn't talk about that in the review because I wasn't sure how bad the injuries were going to be. I will say if these injuries last more than a couple weeks, I think it's time to revisit the argument of, do we need them? I've said this before, they're both phenomenal players, but if you can't rely on them throughout the entire season staying fit, then why are you relying on them at all? I know that's a tough conversation. Not a lot of Chelsea fans want to have that conversation because they just look at the production on the pitch and go, we need them. But ultimately, if we're only getting that for maybe 10 games a season from both of them, then what's the point? We're basically relying on other players anyway, so why are we keeping them on the books when we don't really get the best out of them throughout the whole season? So with that in mind, I will build my preferred squad and Maresca's probable squad based on if James and Lavia are fit. I will talk about who will replace them in my squad and Maresca's squad if they're not fit, but I do want both of them to start, and I do expect both of them to start if they are available. So starting in goal, obviously it's going to be Sanchez, because Jorgensen still isn't good enough and Penders is not getting a look in, and you're not going to change your starting keeper in the semifinals. So moving on to the back line, James should be at right back. And this is where things are very much in the air if James or Lavia are fit. Because in my mind, if James is not fit, then it should be Achampong, but Maresca will probably go with Gusto. But also, if Lavia is not fit, then I expect Maresca to move James into the midfield and Gusto will be at right back. That is not at all what I want to happen. If Lavia is injured, I want him replaced with another midfielder, but we've seen Maresca before. He wants to put James in the midfield over any of the midfielders that he has available to him for some reason. But trying to summarize all of that real quick, I want and expect James to start if he's fit. If he's not fit, I want Achampong to start. I expect Gusto to start. If Lavia is injured, I expect Gusto to start and James to be in the midfield, but I'd prefer that James just start at right back no matter what. Into the back line, obviously no Colwill because he's suspended. So I'm going to go with our strongest back two, which is Tosin and Chalobah. I think Badiashile is hurt, so he wouldn't be available. And outside of that, all we really have is, I think, Sarr and Anselmino. And neither of them have really gotten much of a chance in this team, so I don't expect Maresca to chuck him into the deep end in this type of match. So I expect it to be Tosin and Chalobah. It's going to be a very interesting pairing. I don't know if we've ever seen them play the two center backs together, maybe in one of the Conference League matches. But they're both more so right-sided center backs. I expect Tosin will probably take up the left side since he's a bit more experienced. But I would like to see if Tosin can start to maybe develop a bit more of a leading role back there since he is the oldest defender. I know that's not saying much since he's only, I think, 27. But we need somebody back there to start taking that leading role and organizing the back line a bit more. Because that's one thing that we've seen throughout this tournament is the lack of organization has been killing us at times and has been allowing some of these teams that really shouldn't have a way back into the match. We've been giving them that way back in because our defense is just not setting a good defensive line. On the left side, I mean, we only really have one option. It's Cucurella. I hate that because I feel like he needs to get a rest. He needs to have time off, and we don't really have any other options, unfortunately. But granted, he would start anyway because he is our best left back option. I'm more so saying I wish he would have gotten more of a chance to rest in some of the past matches. But I think only in the game against the Tunisian side did he get a chance to rest. Into the midfield, Caicedo's back, so I expect him to start, and if Lavia is fit, I expect him to start in there as well. I think the two of them showed they're probably our best midfield pairing when it comes to a side that's going to sit deep and counterattack. I've not watched much of Fluminense in this tournament, but I do expect them to probably sit a bit deeper on us. So I want Caicedo and Lavia in there, if Lavia is fit, of course, to break up any sort of counterattack that Fluminense might try to spring on us. Now, if Lavia is injured, like I already said, Maresca will probably move James up there if he's fit. If he's not, then it'll probably be Santos again. But personally, if Lavia is injured, even if James is fit, I would prefer to see Santos start in that position because I thought he played well against Palmeiras and I think he deserves a chance to play some more. I don't think he's better than Caicedo and Lavia at this point, but he should be the next option after those two. The front four is a bit more difficult for me to piece together because I wanted to keep Palmer in the 10 because of how well he played there in the last match against Palmeiras, and I want him to continue on that form, and hopefully we could start to see the consistency we saw at the beginning of last season from him get back into his game. I think Neto you also have to play down the right because that is his best position. And up top, I think Jackson starts with Delap being injured and Pedro probably still not fully fit to start a match. So the question is who's going to play on that left side. I feel like Mediweke has shown he's not good on that left side. George is still probably too young in Maresca's mind, which is why he's not been getting games. So personally, I've narrowed it down to two players. I think you either go with Enzo or you go with Nkuku over there. And Nkuku actually did pretty well coming in off that left side against Palmeiras, and I think Enzo could probably do something similar. I know he's a bit more used to getting up and down, but with Lavia and Caicedo both in the midfield, I don't think we need him to track back as much. So I wouldn't mind seeing him maybe on the left wing, but really he's more of an inverted winger. He's coming inside more often, he's getting into the box like we've seen him do effectively, and Cucurella is the one providing the width down the left side, either way, whether it's Enzo or whether it's Nkuku. Personally, I'd rather see Enzo just because one good game from Nkuku does not suddenly mean he's a phenomenal player. I wouldn't mind seeing if Nkuku could continue the form that we saw in the last match, but between the two, Enzo has been more consistently good for us. So I'd rather see him start over Nkuku on that side. As far as what I expect, honestly, I don't even know. I feel like we could probably see Palmer on the left side, because Maresca's already done that once before, Neto on the right, Enzo down the middle, and Jackson up top. But I've said it before, it really is hard to predict Maresca's lineups. He is so often out there with his ideas. And as I said in the Palmeiras and the Benfica matches, it works in some situations when Benfica's down to 10 men against Palmeiras. But once you come up against a better side, which I think Fluminense is going to be better than those two teams, this is where I do wonder if those decisions are going to cost us. If Lavia does get injured and he decides to go with James in the midfield and Gusto's right back, is that going to cost us? If he decides to go with Nkuku at the left wing, is that going to cost us? All the little things that he does, that he changes, that don't make any sense when you think about what is our best 11, what's going to get the best out of these players. Could this be another game similar to Flamengo where it gets found out, where we get to see the worst of what Maresca can bring? Hopefully not. I would love to see us get to the final and take on either Real Madrid or PSG. Personally, I'd rather see us take on PSG because getting beat by Real in the final would just absolutely piss me off. PSG, I don't mind as much this season. I think they've actually been a good team to watch and much more exciting, and not the egocentric side that they have been in the past when they had all of these big names and that's all they were about. Now they've actually got a good team, and I would not mind seeing them win it all. Obviously, I'd prefer Chelsea still win it over them. But of the two, if we're going to make it to the final and we're going to get beat by a better side that are just more complete than us, I'd rather it be PSG than Real. But those are my thoughts on the lineups. As far as what I'm expecting and what I hope for, obviously I'm hoping for just a big win, something comfortable, 3-0, just to get us through to the final with no issues. What I'm expecting is a very close match. It really all depends on the mentality of the players going into it. I would say my expected prediction is maybe 3-1 to Chelsea in extra time. I could see us scoring in the first half, but then we drop off a bit. Fluminense steps up. They score that equalizer in the second half, maybe a bit later, takes us into extra time, and then we just have enough legs to get through to the end of the match and end up getting 2 goals in extra time. But those are all my thoughts on it, so let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What do you want to see coming out of this match? What lineups do you want to see? What do you expect? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea previews, reviews, and talks. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you all later. Peace out.